Today I'm going to show you saddling a 2-year-old that I've handled since he was a weanling. Stick around if that sounds interesting to you, because I'm going to work on him through moving him around the round pen and how I prepare him for mounting and dismounting. Alright, welcome back to Becky, Amio Horse Training, and we're going to jump right into this today. Saddling this 2-year-old for the first time. I want you to notice the very first thing I do is untie my lead rope that he's tied to at the rail with. This is my 16-foot lead. I've got some length to it, so if he decides to leave the country, I've got a little bit of rope there to grab onto him with. Now, it's a little bit of a windy day, and I considered editing this part out, but this is the kind of thing that happens. You know, it happens in everyday life, and they need to be able to deal with this. I know you guys have seen me, like, kind of throw stuff down in front of them in some of these videos and see their reaction, and this guy clearly, you know, doesn't care about it. Now, this colt, he has been handled since he was a weanling. He's had a surcingle on him. He's had a saddle pad on him. He's had a fly sheet on him. And, you know, the fly sheet is way scarier than this stuff could ever be. And so I'm taking a big chance here, and I'm saddling him the first time in a tie rail. I don't recommend this, but this is how it goes when you've handled these horses since they're little bitty guys. You know, and you've had all sorts of things around them, from blankets, sheets, surcingles. They've been ponied. They've seen me above them. You know, he's not too worried right now. And I just kind of treat him like he's a 10-year-old gelding that's been there, done that. And I'm, you know, I pay attention, and I'm cautious, and I you know, can feel him as I move around him. I try to keep a hand on him at all times. If you see the way I walk past him, you know, I stay close to his butt. I've always got a hand on him. But he's not tied here at the rail, but he, you know, he thinks he is. And so, you know, I just treat him as if I would if I'm tacking him up any other day. So I had to go back to my tack room and get my breast collar. I've got a baby breast collar that's just for 2-year-olds. You know, I put that on him. I have to be able to go underneath their neck. It's a priority to me. I know it's not the safest thing to do, but I have found that it's just another one of those things that if they accept you walking underneath their neck, they're okay with you reaching around the front of their chest or under their neck. And somewhere down the line, the next person that owns this horse, they're gonna walk underneath their neck. And they're going to make that mistake, and I don't want this horse to spook or get scared. I want it to be just something normal that he's used to having done to him. Okay, so this next section here is a defining moment, and it's really important that I show you guys this, because other trainers are going to know what I'm talking about, and folks who've had horses a lot longer than me are going to know what I'm talking about. But this first step after cinching up your saddle is a defining moment in your lifetime with horses. Now, some folks have said to take a step backwards, and some folks that I know do make that first step backwards. I tend to make the first step away from me like this rather than turn the horse into me, because that first step, once they're saddled, could be an absolute explosion, okay? And it's happened to me from the first saddling through, probably when they're 8 years old. And or even the first time they're saddled in the winter when it's really cold. You will have a bucking explosion right here. And so it's really important to pay attention when you take these first steps away from the tie rail, out of the barn, or even if you're in the round pen and you're working with them and you're getting ready to send them out, you make sure that you are in a safe place when you take this first step. And this guy so far has been super, super quiet, but I wanted to get that on video for you, him leaving the tie rail and walking to the round pen. You know, I want to emphasize again, I rarely saddle one up for the first time at the tie rail. But this is Top Gun's 2-step, and if you guys remember him, he was the weanling that I used in my groundwork with a weanling video. This guy has been getting handled since he was 4.5 months old. And I do my last cinch up tight once I get into the round pen. And then I'm going to send him around a little bit. Now remember, I've already done all of my groundwork with him before I did the saddling. So it's not like he wasn't already out here moving around and playing and doing some stuff before I saddled him. So this is just going to be another day at the office for him. And the first saddling, I want it to be, you know, really not exciting. I want them to just walk, trot, and lope. And I want them to move around just as if they would any other day at the office, okay? And I need them to go both directions. Oftentimes what I see is horses that do something going one direction, you know, that's going to creep up and remind us, you know, it's going to come back. They're going to do it that direction again the next time, you know, whether they crow hop or toss their head or kick out or crossfire. They're going to do that stuff generally when they're going a specific direction. And now he kind of scooted a little bit there. You know, he didn't just take a nice, easy lope departure. So I'm going to ask for it again. And the second time around, he takes it really nice for me. I'm going to go ahead and ask him to lope again. Make sure it wasn't just a fluke. Make sure we create a pattern of a nice lope departure in the tack. You know, again, walk, trot, lope, really easy, both directions. Make this a really good experience for him, as good as I can possibly make it for him. You know, and I don't even need to pick up my whip. I'm just kind of kissing to him, and I'm swinging the end of my rope at him a little bit. And, you know, and in case you're wondering, through this, I'm not really asking him to go over those ground poles either. He's already done that in some of the other groundwork that I did with him. And I'm going to go ahead and ask him to change directions here. Just ask for his attention and then point off the other way. Change my body language. Change the direction that I'm standing as I ask him to go the other way. Now again, looking for a nice easy trot and a nice easy lope departure this direction. So far, a nice easy trot. He's staying quiet. He's balancing off of the circle rather than on the rail. I really like that about him. That's showing me a lot. You know, when I ask him to go into a lope here, he kind of grabs his butt and scoots and swings his head a little bit. I break him back down, and I'm going to ask him for a lope departure again. Now it's super smooth. So what has that told us now about this colt? The first time that he's asked to go into that lope, he's going to probably play around and screw off just a little bit, isn't he? And then the next 2 times he's going to be fine. So now we need to keep that in our register to remember from now on everything that we ask of him the first time, either direction, he's going to play a little bit, and we need to put a stop to that, you know, as we continue to work with him. And I asked him for a whoa here. He came to a stop. I have his attention. I'm going to go ahead and go up to him and gather him up. You know, so far I feel pretty good about this, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my lick tub, and I'm going to bring it in here and start preparing him for mounting and dismounting. And getting this lick tub was something that I considered editing out, but I thought it was important that you guys saw that, you know, fighting with opening and closing this gate, the wind, and then sliding this lick tub over. It makes a lot of noise. And it's something else that they need to just not be afraid of. You know, whether it's a mounting block, a lick tub, a step, something that you guys use to get on, or something somebody else may use to mount and dismount. And so I'm just going to stand up over top of them. I'm going to climb up on it and stand up over top of them. And like I said before, this colt has had me over top of him when I've ponied him off of another gelding. And so he's seen me from above already. But it's still a surprise to them every time, you know, you step up and you get up there. Now look at how I pet on his neck. That's the same way I'm going to pet on him when I'm in the tack. I pat on the saddle seat a little bit. You know, that makes him a little bit nervous, and he just doesn't stand there completely. You know, it's all part of that, getting them to accept us and what we're doing to them. And, you know, pulling on the saddle, he's going to feel that pull when we mount and dismount. and I slide my lick tub over and back and forth and make sure that he feels, and he sees all of that, all of the different places that I may get up there from. And I lean on him, I give him a hug, I use his body to help me get back down to the ground here. And I apologize for the, for the moving of the camera here. When it's a little bit breezy like this, the Pivo gets a little bit excited and moves around a little bit. But I do my best to kind of lay over top of him and lean on him. And this is not an isolated game here. This isn't going to be the only time I practice this with him. Had he not done super well with that initial moving him around the round pen, I probably wouldn't have gone to this next step. This particular practice would have been saved for another session, but because he was so good and quiet, I went ahead and added it to this particular session. And I just keep on kicking that tub around. He wants to move, I just follow him around and find a place to climb up on him again and lay over top of him, touch him all over, let him see me from a different perspective. These are all things that he needs to get used to. And I'm not asking anything of him, just stand there. So a few more times of climbing up on here, laying over him, rubbing, patting. You can't do this too much with them. Rubbing and petting on them, you can't do too much of that. I deliberately kick the bucket underneath his belly. Just another thing that he needs to get used to is having something go underneath him. And then I do all of the same procedure on his right side, on his off side. I need to make sure this horse has been exposed to everything that I can on both sides of his body. And I need to find where the holes are, where, something's going to bother him and where he's okay with it. Because that will remain in the back of my mind through those first 30 days of, oh, well, let's say hypothetically he had a problem with me touching his butt on the right side. Then I would always work on that throughout his next 30 days. Or if he had a problem with being mounted a certain way on the left side, I would continue to work on that kind of stuff. Making sure that he sees me out of both eyes is really important here. Seeing how he's turning his head around and he's looking back at me. This is huge right here. This was such a big moment in the training right here. Him reaching around, looking back, seeing me reach down, and then look, we have a cocked leg there. He's relaxed. He's totally accepting of everything that I'm doing. I jump down off the lick tub just like I would if I was on his back. All of these things are going to make a difference, and it's something that I picked up on just in the last 10 years. Horses, they might be good for you to mount them, but they sure don't know what to expect when you dismount, and you can scare them in a hurry dismounting. So I try to make a point to practice the dismount as well and get it as close as I can to the real deal as I possibly can, because you never know what they're going to do, and they need to know what to expect during this experience. And look, we still have a leg cocked. He's still really relaxed. He's not reacting to anything that we're doing here. So I sure appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay tuned as I continue to post more videos about Top Gun's 2 Steps progress over the next couple of months as he prepares for the RQHBA 2-year-old ranch horse futurity in August. I'm going to take him out and tie him up to the tie rail, and he's going to spend a couple hours standing there saddled. Thanks for watching. I sure hope you guys have a great rest of your day.